Well, we have a new person here, so everyone go to the third square on the left, sitting next to Joyce. Nice to meet you. Uh, if you haven't heard anything of non-duality, you're probably better off, really. You know, you should just go to Netflix and watch Bloodline. Yeah,
Ah, there we
that's
go.
what I like. So non-duality is an idea. It's been around for a while. I'd imagine it comes from the Vedas, the oldest scriptures in the world. And the idea is that we are reality, yes? So, in a way, we are reality dreaming. And being ourselves reality, uh, it's impossible to find yourself by using yourself to find yourself, yes? Because you are that. So, it goes more of a negative way or a negation way. And so, you look at what's going on in one's head, and you see all the inference or the implying or the historical taking to be a fact, this idea of being a long lasting, independent, separate thing, may not be true. Yeah. So instead of finding it, trying to find another escape hatch, so to speak, or trying to find another methodology to get out, you have a realization in. Yeah. And in that fact of not being in, there's freedom from all those drives and desires and urges to get out. Yes. And so this is the essence of non-duality, is based on being ourselves reality. Now, we don't have any idea of what reality is, and just let's leave it at that. Let's just see what it ain't. Yeah. So there's a very famous statement attributed to Jesus Christ, which is a very it's a crystallization of the essence of the direction of a non-duality talk, which is he says we're in this world, but we're not of this world. So basically, there's a description of what we're in, and then there's the realization we're not of that. Instead of starting, I'm not of that, and then denying the inness, we just tell the truth about the inness, and we see we're not of that. Yeah. So that's the form of negation. So there's a famous statement by a guy I like a lot, a Zen master from China called Huang Po, and he had a lot of doozies, and one of them was, whatever can be perceived cannot be perceiving. Yeah. So if you take that statement, which means whatever can be perceived is in an object form, yes? You're seeing things, and those things, if they're seen, they cannot be that which is seeing. Yeah. It's a beautiful negation of the assumption that our head is based on all day. All day, the head speaks as if that which is perceiving is the one that's perceived. Yeah. So we're pictured as a body. So the subjectness gets attributed to the objectness, and that's the negation of non-duality. Yeah, you just negate that whole package. And then what happens is, once you know what you're not, you find out about what you are. Yes, it's just that simple. Yeah, because you can't know what you are because you are it. Yeah, you can't experience what you are. You'd have to be something else to do that. And the fact is, being ourselves reality, therefore, this is not about an upper level experience. It's not a peak experience. It's not something that you can produce. It's not something that you can achieve. It's not something that you can lose. It's just not something. Yeah, it's nothing. And in that nothingness, uh, that allows it to be always available at all times, no matter where or what you think you are or where you think you are. It's always available at all times, because the only possibility we have concerning the essence of non-duality is being it. Yeah, and that's the assumption. So uh, this is very disarming. It's not another spiritual path. It doesn't further any practices, really. It basically negates the practitioner, really. That's what it does. It doesn't care about meditation either way. It doesn't really have an opinion of it. It just questions the idea of the meditator. Yeah, so we're always looking at the assumed subject that takes itself to, or is presented as an object. And there's a negation of that, and then you find out a whole lot by not looking for anything, really. Yes? So that's a quick summation. It was faster than the meal you were just having, so that's how it goes. It's very quick. Yeah. If you're interested in it, it'll get interested in you in a weird way. So, yeah. So here, someone asks a question. The interest would be more on that which is asking the question than an answer to the question. Yes? We would like to see who is it that's asking the question. In the assumption of non-duality, it's not you. So then there's a loss of interest in all these questions, and then you realize you're actually the answer. Yeah? It's quite nice. So, all right, that's it for you guys. I'm moving to the other squares. Mike, open up whatever you want.
Anybody want to raise their hands?
Oh, Joyce has already put her hand up. Wow.
I just wanted to make a comment that I've never heard you explain it quite that way before. Non-duality, which was really, I mean, I heard it different, completely different. So I think if it didn't benefit anyone else, it did me.
Oh, great. Well, that's the thing, you know. The way we can sort of share it is always different, really, any minute you open up and share it, yeah? So what I say tomorrow would may be different what's said today. Hopefully the spirit that it's said in is the same, yeah? But how it's said may be quite different, yeah? So you don't really want to, it's sort of like you don't want to catch the pass of the word, you want to sense the spirit that it's being presented, yes? That's the message, Billy.
Like throwing the balls.
Yes, you know, the reaching for the ball is a distraction to get the message through Joyce, not to Joyce, yeah? In a way, we see Joyce, or the idea of Joyce, as an impediment, not as something we have to win over, yeah? So basically, we're trying to throw the message over everyone's head because I can't miss everywhere, but I definitely want to miss you, yeah? Because once you claim the message, it gets neutered, yes? And then it's put into a dualistic frame, and then you got to go back and negate that, and on and on and on, yeah? Because that's the habit of it. You don't see anything. You see everything from a frame, yeah? There's a frame that gives meaning to things. The things doesn't give meaning to the frame. You can call the frame self-centeredness, but it's basically a system that's centered on this idea of being the doer, the thinker, the feeler, the seer, the taster, the toucher. Yeah? But it comes about to that point by claiming the seeing, the doing, the hearing, the feeling, the tasting. Yes? And the touching. Yeah? Now, that's what's happening. Seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching. An add-on is the idea that you're the seer, the hearer, the feeler, the taster, the toucher. Yeah? As soon as that takes place and it gets established, you're living in interpretation, really. Yeah. Just like when you were a kid, hopefully at one point when you were young, life was just happening, yeah? There was no sense of Paul really solidified and da-da-da. And then slowly the brain developed and suddenly life was happening to me, which is an incredible interpretation, yes? Yeah. So now you're living an interpretation, thinking that life's pretty stale and pretty empty and pretty unattractive, but because you're out to lunch, really. Yeah. Now, do you want to waste any time trying to bring that back? Why? You're not that, yeah? When you lose interest in Paul and Joyce, you'll gain interest in what you are, obviously. Yeah. And then that sense of interest in what you are is what some people call a presence. So you now sense a presence where you are only sensing Paul as the doer, the thinker, the hearer, the historical one, the future one, yes? Just this constant obsession with reinforcing something that you're not. When there's a loss of interest in that, there's that interest, and that interest and attention is really the presence of us, yeah? Yeah. So it's sort of like, in my sense, it was like an unspoken yes. Something hit me at a satsang when I was listening to someone presenting these ideas, probably better than I do. Whacked it. I just heard it. And then it was like a knowledge before all knowledge, yeah? And it was an unspoken yes, and I never asked another question after that. And I lost interest in the need to be liberated, because that which needs to be liberated is not me, yeah? Hallelujah. That's the liberation, really. There you go, yeah? And it's really... the main movement is a loss of interest, not a focused, concentrated interest, but a loss of interest in being the one who's focused and concentrated, really. And then you get more of a panoramic view, and you see a whole lot more when you're not looking for something. You do. You see a whole lot more when you're not looking, focusing on something. You get to see a lot more of everything, yeah? Yeah. And the truth verifies itself. If it lands and it hits, it will be like an unspoken yes. Yeah, you'll be convinced of something. Yes, that you're not that, and then you'll have the eyes to recognize its presentation, because the presentation of life, according to Paul, is constantly offered. Yeah, you're just not putting your hand in the glove that it's offering anymore. Yeah. You're not completely animating the story. You've lost interest in the story of Paul, and you've gained interest in whatever life, if you want to call it that. Yeah? Yeah, so this is more based on a loss of interest, not an interest. If you finally ended up at a non-duality meeting, the interest in spirituality has done its job. You should let it go. Yeah? There's no more need for interest. There isn't. The thing hits you like a spiritual subpoena, and then that's that. Or it doesn't. Then maybe you read a little more, go to a couple more satsangs. But inevitably, there's going to be a critical mass, and something is going to whack. Yeah? Yeah? You're not interested in that. You're being that. Yeah? It's different. So... See, if you're interested in getting out of self as self, that's the bondage of self, yes? The wanting to get out of self is the bigger in self, truly, because your escapes are futile. You can't get out of an imaginary place. You can't get out of what you're not in. You're not a long-lasting, independent, separate entity. That's the assumption of non-duality. You're not, yeah? You may think you are, you may experience you are, you may have a huge interpretation you are, you may have pictures of you in the past as a body and worrying about you in the future as a body, but you're not that. Yeah, that's the simple fact of non-duality. Yeah, and it doesn't waste time trying to convince what you're not that it's what you're not. You just see it from what you are. Yeah. If the assumption of non-duality is correct, which is being ourselves reality, you can see what's not real. Yeah, you can. If we're not reality, we better start and keep looking for it. Yeah. But the statement, the assumption of non-duality is very clear, being ourselves reality. Yeah. The greatest mystery is reality wanting to attain reality. Now, the living way you would see that sentence is Paul wanting to attain reality. But as non-duality presents it, Paul is actually reality, yes? So the way we have trouble with it, we see reality as somewhere to arrive at as Paul, all the while being reality right now. And so to Ramana Maharshi, a great master, the greatest mystery was Paul being itself reality, wanting to attain reality. Yeah. Yeah. So there you go, you know. And if something says, "Oh, I don't like it," maybe it's not you. Yeah. If something says I like it, maybe it's not you. You just start seeing from what you are instead of looking from what you're not. It's all simple. And the fact is, you've never not been seeing from what you are. It's just been a story that you've been looking all the while from what you're not. Once you're established in seeing from what you are, you know nothing ever really happened. Yeah, it's happening, but it never happened. That's the great news. In other words, I've never left a mark. It's like all the shit that can happen in the sky doesn't leave any scars on the sky. Yeah. 4th of July explosions, fucking thunderstorms, lightning. The sky doesn't get electrocuted. Yeah. The sky is like us, like mind, and it's allowing everything to appear in it, yet is not affected by it. Yeah. There you go. It's a pretty nice description of what we are like, actually. Yeah. So yeah, all right. Any other questions?
Anybody else want to raise their hands? William Holtz. Go ahead, William.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I feel like a little bit weird sharing because like you kind of answered my question in the middle of it, and I came to this meeting honestly feeling like, man, I've got a bunch of problems in my life, and like I really hope Paul can help me out in some ways and like give me some relief. But you know that, like, I feel like almost there's nothing to do anymore. But that freaks me out a little bit. Like, what if things go wrong, and what if I don't take care of it? And I know that. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm just saying, I'm like kind of the notion of what you're saying for the first time is actually like scaring me a little bit, you know? I don't know if you've ever had anyone feel that way, but
Yes.
I don't know
Yes.
what to say.
For sure. It's almost it's only one of the procedural effects of the message. Yes, for sure. Because what's scared of it is not you. It's the system that speaks to you as you. Yeah. The system is afraid to be discovered. Yeah. To be based on a bogus idea. It's petrified of it, actually. We have the old story. I don't know if you've been here. If you have, you can cut me off. But about looking at this situation, like you just shared, from the point of view, from 2 points of view concerning one event. And so it's going to be an event in a life of a snake. Yeah. So every year the snake goes through a molting of the skin. Obviously, the snake isn't molting the skin as our language would imply. It goes through this event called the molting of the skin. And so here's the snake, and the snake also has this skin on it, and the skin is yapping to the snake all day. And the skin assumes and keeps implying that it's the whole snake. Yes? So its concerns are for the whole snake, but actually it's just the skin. Yeah? And so the skin has a megaphone, and it starts sensing the molting, and it's a little afraid of its fucking survival. So it jacks into the snake brain and starts telling the snake, buy a lot of moisturizer, stay out of the sun, watch out for that rock, don't go there, don't there. It's trying to preserve the skin. Yeah. It's not looking out for the welfare of the snake. It's looking out for its own fucking imaginary survival. Yeah. yet it's quite loud and insistent, and the snake has been in the habit of listening to it as if it was the snake. Yeah, this is the dilemma. Because when the skin falls off the snake's going to travel a lot lighter. Yeah, it's going to have new scales, and it's going to be more attractive to female snakes. It's smoother. It's going to go over rocks much better. So it's a huge win for the snake. Yeah, but not from the skin point of view. And if the snake is in the act of being identified as the skin, yes, yeah, that great transformation that will happen through the molting will be the last thing it wants to go through. Yes, this is things. So a lot of times when we say we're scared, it's not us that's scared. It's the system that implies it's us that's scared. Yeah? Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that one actually. I've heard a lot of the stories and the
Yeah.
not that one actually.
Well, because see, everyone will speak from the skin a lot. Yeah? And they're basing how they're taking the message after they've received it already, but now how they're sort of, the tentacles are going over the message. What's yapping about it is what they're not, really. Yeah, and I've heard it tons of times, and I've heard it in this head tons of times. So you see, you're not that. That which is representing itself as you, there's nothing you can ever see because there's nothing there. It just keeps representing itself as you. It's an imaginary idea that finds a sense of relevance by this identification as a body. Yes. So, yeah. So if the snake can just not take the skin's point of view so seriously, it's going to be traveling lighter. Yeah. Exactly what happens with these talks. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
And this isn't about getting out of stuff. Take care of business if you can. And if you can't, be accountable and just see what happens. Because a lot of, I know in recovery, really, it's about growing up, because most of us were frozen in like 13-year-oldness, and we're not, the real fear to me, wasn't drinking, it was living a day sober. I couldn't face life on life's terms. And now I've grown to be able to face life successfully. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, just, get the help when you need it. It's not you. Don't do a thing, well, if I'm not a Paul, or therefore I don't need any help. Don't go there. That's all. That doesn't work. Just get what you need for the action figure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to read something more concerned about the action figure. Let me find it, all right? There's a famous, like the godfather of non-duality is Ramana Maharshi, yeah? And here's a beautiful, he's answering a question, and it's quite nice. So the guy goes, whatever, it doesn't matter. Ramana says, leave it to him, surrender unreservedly. So he's speaking about the dilemmas of confronting life and not being outmatched and shit like that. So he says, leave it to him, surrender unreservedly. One of two things must be done. That's not a huge kaleidoscopic multiple choice. He's basically saying one or two things must be done. Yeah? Either surrender because you admit your inability and also require a higher power to help you. That's mostly the MO of recovery. That's the point with an addict that enters recovery. There's the surrender. That's pretty clear way of putting it. Or investigate into the cause of misery. Go into the source and merge in what's already there. Either way, you will be free from misery. Yeah. God never forsakes, or let's say grace never forsakes one who has surrendered. It's a beautiful, assuring little message, yeah? So in this way, we're going to see the source of the misery. If the source of the misery is in us, then the possibility of being free from the misery is available. If it's us, we're going to have to change, or something's going to have to happen because it's us. But no, if you're suffering from a foreign pathogen and you recognize that it's foreign, the first possibility that will become available to you is I can be free from it. Yes? While identified as the source of the misery, you're trying to be free as it, which just furthers misery. Yes? But when you see that which is seemingly driving you crazy as not you, yeah, not in a denial way, which makes it worse, but in a negation way, which is clear seeing, yeah. Once that happens, yeah, the possibility of being free from it becomes available. I had the exact experience in recovery. When I saw the word self, the way it's used in recovery is the idea of being the center of the universe, really. Something that may not be much, but it's all that I think about. But this idea of self, this long-lasting, independent, separate entity, I had realized that I had been trying to be free as it. I did not know I was in the act of being identified as self. I didn't. I thought I was a separate thing called Paul, and maybe I had a self, but actually the selfing had me. So the day I saw that self was not me or a foreign thing, the next possibility became available, which is I can be free from it. And then it told me in a second that I've been trying to be free as self since I've been 6 years old. So it was incredibly, fundamentally, profoundly revealing. Yeah. Not of the truth, but of the problem, really. And, yeah. So this is Ramana Maharshi presenting the two methodologies, really, or none. One of them he would call self-inquiry, and the other is surrender. Now, to the absoluteness of Ramana, he would say to who would surrender and to whom, but he doesn't get stuck in any rigid view. He's talking to the person where they are. Yeah? So, yes. See, there can be the experience of an action figure that's in the state of surrender to the higher power and be completely awake to that you're not that. Yeah? The one can be happening on one stage and you can see it from a larger context. Yeah? There's not only one can be there and the other can't. No, because you have an event of time and then you have the timeless condition. Yeah? So in the event of time, what may be much clearer is a surrender, really. Yeah. Because just tell the truth. Are you outmatched or not? Are you relying on a failed system? Does it actually deliver the goods? Does the thought system, if followed, lead to happiness, joy, and freedom? No. All right. I guess I'm fucked. Okay, I'm going to admit the truth, and then there's a surrender. And then in time, the surrender becomes surrendered, yes? Yeah. And then all the attention and interest that the action figure would demand gets chilled out, and that interest and attention can go to other affairs, yeah? Maybe the love affair of nothing, so to speak. Yeah. So, yeah. Anyone else, Mike?
I don't see any hands right now. Thanks, William. Oh, Anu.
Anu.
Hey, Paul, just to follow up on what you just said about surrender.
Hey.
Sounds beautiful. So the surrender is to stop defending yourself against life. Is that how you will look at it?
Well, you'll see it the way you see it, but the surrender will, yeah, I don't want to put any idea of what it's going to look like for you, yeah? I know something, I wasn't getting the message, like getting run over twice by a car or shot at, beat up by the cops, tons of shit. Nothing seemed to be getting through. So then life just intervened and struck me sober. Yeah. And basically, I saw that I was fucked, like as clear as day. And I mean, really fucked without any kind of defense or rationale. And that I wasn't managerial quality. And I don't think there would be a day that I would arrive at being managerial quality. That was a surrender for me. And then it allowed so far 33 years of sobriety, continuous sobriety, without really much thought or effort, tell you the truth. You know? And because the main impediment, that radioisotope of urge to escape, had been removed, yeah? And no human power could do it, so it was a pretty profound demonstration. And so let's give it a name, a higher power, as Ramana just said, yeah? Yeah. Why would you want to take away that enjoyment of having a love story in your life with a higher power by a rigid fundamentalist view of non-duality? I mean, I think it's crazy. Yeah. We're still in an art project, aren't we, here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's enjoy. Let's be a little flamboyant, you know. I like the Sufis where they, you know, if you ever read like Hafiz or Rumi, obviously they had been displaced, yeah, their head, but they still called that nothingness the beloved, yeah, so they could write incredibly beautiful poems, yeah. So yes,
Thanks, Paul.
yeah,
Thanks, Anu.
see, you don't surrender anew. Surrender happens and then you know what it is, yeah. You don't surrender, you don't. That would only be a conceptual mimicking of what you think surrender is by, you know, watching a movie where the guy is, you know, the wind's blowing his long hair and he's on a cliff and he's got ex-girlfriends and hopefully future girlfriends looking at him adoringly. Oh, he's giving up his life. You know, no. You know, surrender is an event that you'll know after the fact, so to speak. Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't know what surrender was, and really, I thought surrender was I was showing my great benevolence to others, you know. Yeah. In AA, surrender was going home and starting to write an inventory of how self has defeated me. Yes, that's really what it is. Without the work, without the activity after it, it doesn't go anywhere. Yeah. Yeah. But I think surrender in time can become surrendered, yeah, where it's established. The primary point is established that you're not managerial quality. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really the essence of it. You're clear about that. It doesn't come up for debate every 3 months or review. It's just like, okay, let's move on. Got that out of the way. I'm still alive. Yeah. Let's not argue with reality anymore. You never win. So yeah.
Actually, it's so weird. A lot of, I think for me, a lot of stuff keeps coming up and like falling away by itself because something sees that, oh, that's just another a mechanism. Yeah, it's just amazing. It's like a effortless, yeah,
Yeah.
something, yeah, you're right.
Great. It's like the wash cycle is 5 minutes instead of 50 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
That's see, when you leave, let's say the checkerboards, the checkerboard, and you get into the blueprint room, things happen instantaneously. Yes. There's not having to grow through a lot of shit. Things can change in a nanosecond. Yeah. Mind. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything I'm doing for sure. Because I would not be capable of doing it. So
Yeah. Yes. But what's great is you're capable of expressing the relief, which is
yeah.
great. Yes. Yeah. And the gratitude for that. Yeah, that's the joy, to be in that position. Yeah, to respond to that with gratitude and honor. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, actually, my husband told me like you're almost like normal now. So I'm so grateful. I found you this year. I feel so much better, Paul. Thank you so much.
Well, great. It's a we here. Yeah, it's us. Yeah, yeah. I have I have faith in I don't have faith in Paul. I have faith in the message. Paul's a pretty, yeah, I wouldn't rely on Paul often, but the message, yes, is,
Yeah. Yeah, I just
yeah,
meant the message, the satsang, just this, whatever this is. So
yes, yeah, yeah, I'm really happy to come back to it. Yeah, I enjoy it.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, Anu. Anybody else want to raise their hands? While we're waiting, I'll comment on how interesting it is, like how we don't know what surrender is at the surface level, like in a time at the right moment to say I'm afraid, that would be surrender, not like proof that you don't get something. So yeah, such a tangible thing about how the self can't get out of self because it thinks that it's doing something wrong by saying I'm afraid. That's exactly maybe when surrender is.
Yes, there's a lot of it. It becomes more of it becomes a part of an attitude and outlook. Yeah, yeah.
Kind of like grace that you were commenting on yesterday, right? Like it's always happening, but when you don't think so, then it like becomes something else, like alcoholism, and then again, there you're surrendering there. So it's kind of interesting. Oh, Gary has his hand up.
Who?
Gary. Hi, Paul.
Oh, how are
Welcome
you?
back.
Nice to see you, Gary.
Yeah, I'm glad you're back. So, how I'm noticing this.
I'm having never left, Gary.
I'm having never left. Okay. Complete cycle. Okay. Exactly. Well, that short circuited that question, but I'll ask it anyway. I don't know if it's a question. I just what I've been noticing here is a cycle. Like I sit here and I'm looking, wow, Paul's got something, man. I want whatever Paul has. How do I get that? And it's like trying to go up a slippery slope, and there's no way up that mountain. And I guess where I finally give up is I see that cycle of sort of never-ending effort to get somewhere, and just see it. It's like, oh, there he is again. There he's going for that. He's trying to get to the top of that muddy mountain and just slipping all the way back down. Oh, he loses. There's no winning that game. And
That was a win, really.
yeah.
Seeing that was the win.
Exactly.
Seeing that there is no winning is the win in a weird way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes a number of demonstrations, but there's a critical mass where it switches to an aha, so to speak. And that aha isn't one that just comes and goes quickly. It's more like an echo of what's always here. And then the turbulence and the chaos of that previous activity is chilled out now. Yeah, it's been subdued. Yeah. So now you find humor in trying to go up a mountain, that's, slippery. It's hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah. And even as we speak, there he goes. He's starting up the mountain again. Yeah.
Someone's got to do it. So there you go. No, now the man from the corner is climbing up a slippery mountain. There you go.
Yeah. So
But this
anyway,
is the point. This is the point. The frustration has value when you see it. Yeah. Because there's a point where you'll see enough frustration, you'll be done with it in a way. You'll just, all right, yeah, I'm not getting out. All right. Yeah. And it wasn't believable what becomes available to see when you give up that desire to get out as representing you. Yeah. You may see the desire again, but it won't be held as you has a desire to get out. Yeah. That's the news. Everything has incredible value. Yeah. Yeah. Well, like we say in that statement in the Course in Miracles, what can a failed system show you? It's failed. Yeah. That's its value. Yeah. So hopefully we've seen enough right at this point, or more than enough. And yeah, there could be a tipping of a scale and then things change.
one of the things I really appreciate about the message, and it says, and just because you've seen this doesn't mean it's going to stop happening.
Yeah, for sure.
So
that was that's one of those myths of stuff, or the no thought mind myth and shit. Yeah.
What do we leave? I mean, oh, well, that's still happening. Well, good. That doesn't mean I have, I don't know the words.
Yes. Yes. You got it right there. It doesn't mean you're exiled, or distance has been made, or you've got more steps to follow now. No, it doesn't mean squat. Yeah? Where are you going to move everywhere to? Everywhere? I mean, really. You can't misplace what's everywhere. You know what I mean? The head's constantly implying it can, but it can't. Yeah. Yeah. That's what hits you after a while. You see the mental logic that spins out its assessment of things is incredibly insane. It's totally crazy. Yeah. It makes no fucking sense. It's yapping about I did something that, the whole thing with the Course in Miracles is based on this crazy idea that we split from the Godhead. Yeah. And then the whole idea of this world and everything and all that's going on is based on that premise that never happened. So that's why, basically, no, that's not something you say. Hopefully that's something you grow into as this action figure. You can't get it as this, but you can express the intimacy of what you are through this. Yeah. You start, yeah. Yeah.
I'm just appreciating the completeness of this message. It's not just saying, like it ain't you. It's saying, and it's going to keep trying to appear as you. Well, thank God for that piece of the message, because then I can relax from that too.
Yes.
I don't have to keep going around the track 1,000 times.
See, if you vanquished it, the one who would stand over it would be it. Yes?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just like, you might as well realize it's not volitional, it's mechanical.
Yeah.
And really, thank God it doesn't have AI where it's growing into it. It's just basically runs out the same shtick every day, pretty much. You know what I mean? It really doesn't. It doesn't have a glossy presentation. We've just been very gullible. We've been a very gullible audience, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah, watching reruns after reruns after reruns.
Exactly. Yeah, so basically, yeah. I mean, you've been scared 50 times by this same fake wolf, so it sort of feels the 51st time, you start picking something up, like, what the fuck, Or you write a journal for 20 years and you read it 20 years later and you're going, what? Everything starts out, I'm afraid of, and then the of is always different, but the basis is the same. I'm afraid of. Nothing's changed in 20
Nothing
years.
has
Yeah.
changed. No improvement.
So, yeah, just see it. There's that. The meaning of afraid is that it comes from when it's you that's afraid. That's where the meaning comes from. It doesn't really. Afraid doesn't generate that much meaning. Very little, actually. It's used by the claiming of to generate a lot of meaning. Yeah. When you put Gary as the one who's afraid, it could be 4 chapters of Gary's life. If you just see afraid, okay, it's another feeling that comes around. Yes? Don't you see the incredible addition that comes from the my, or the idea of that shadowy thing that's before everything? So,
Yeah.
there's worry about next week. I'm worrying about next week. Completely different. Completely different. Yeah.
Very heavier.
Yeah. So wouldn't you want to sort of like be curious about that? I mean, for me, it seems like, wait a minute. This guy just said this thought drove him crazy. It had no effect on me, but the next day I had the same thought and it was held as mine and it ruined my day. Wait a minute. What's going on? We always it's the thought, but it ain't the thought. It's the owning of the thought. Yeah. That's where the meaning is distributed. Yeah. Yeah. So we're on like a wild goose chase. We're going, in that thing, you're getting warmer. We're really cold. We're ass backwards. We're looking at the thoughts, not the idea of the thinker. We're looking at the feelings, not the idea of the feeler. Yeah? That's where to see. To see, is there a feeler? Yeah? Dismiss incredible surveillance of the feelings for a minute and just, is there who's the fucking feeler here? What's the feeler of it? Is it consciousness or awareness, or is it Paul? It's obviously one, not the other. Yes? Yeah. You don't have to go to another continent. Just look in your own head for a minute, 5 minutes, and it'll reveal quite a lot. If you listen to the narrative in your head, you'll see it's the exact opposite statement than Huang Po's idea of whatever can be perceived can't be perceiving. The whole narration of our day is based on the exact opposite premise. It's based on that which can be perceived. This body called Paul is what's perceiving. I mean, that's why Huang Po said it, because that was the state of current affairs. Yeah? He brought a negation to something that was just assumed to be so. So he came in and pointed out, hey, you're acting as if the cart is in front of the horse. The horse is always in front of the cart. Yeah? You don't have to change it. Just see the mistake. Yeah? Because it never happened. The cart has never been before the horse. The cart doesn't move on its own. It gets pulled. Yes?
The thought first.
There's no need for correction. The correction lies in is looking at the belief that's not true, that the whole cart is in front of the horse. That's all. Tell the truth. Yeah? Does seeing come before Paul? Yes, of course. So basically, the idea of Paul is derived from seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching. So how can I listen all day to the narrative that Paul is the one who's seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, touching? If you want just basic, logic, just look at it that way. Yes? I don't care about it because the logic isn't going to do anything. It's the feeling, yeah, it's the tactileness of the message, yes. But it's very easy to display that the idea of Paul comes after a whole lot of stuff that's before. So Paul, as the Alpha and the Omega, has to sort of seemingly deny or distract itself from a huge fact that there's a whole lot of before Paul. Yeah. I would say we're more of that than of Paul. Yes.
That's
Yeah.
before.
Yes. Or like Bankyo, someone Banky or whatever, he's an old Zen master. He used to always talk about it as the unborn. So, all right. So let's say Paul showed up when you were born, which it didn't. It came a couple of years later. But let's say, okay, Paul starts when you're born, but we are of the unborn. Yes. So obviously we're not of Paul. Yes. Yeah.
Nothing need be done.
And yet a lot of shit will be done, But thank God there won't be of it. Yeah. Your head is going to believe it's the doer. You can sit it, take it to a month-long "you're not a body" seminar. It's going to hear that it's not a body as a body. Just the way it goes. So this isn't about any of that. It's about just getting a flavor. It may not, that which you've taken yourself to be may not be that. Yes? Because once you see it as other, a possibility of freedom is available. We've been trying to be free as it for quite a while, yeah? And it hasn't worked. It's worked by failing. So we'll realize the freedom is from it, yeah? And therefore, because there isn't an existing, long-lasting, independent, separate entity, yes? Then the freedom is actually always available at all times. Yeah? Because it's a non-existent thing that we need to be free from. And basically, then we are inherently free from it right now because it's a non-existing thing. There's no battle to be waged. It's just the immediacy surprises us because we want solutions to play out in time. Yeah? This solution doesn't. It's like immediately on you. So quick, you don't have any way to grab it and own it and neuter it and mutate it. Yeah? It's just because it's been here before we showed up. Yeah. Yeah. Great to see you, Gary. Yeah, I sent you my address, so just let me know
got
next
it.
week. Yeah, come by. Yeah,
Great.
maybe I'll have Z when you come over, who's sitting right next to you. Z's my main man. Yes. All right. All right. Thank you, Gary.
Thanks, Gary. No other hands up right now.
That's a great night. Yeah.
Gary was reminding me of how the Buddha's Noble Truths, the first one, that life is dukkha, dualistic life is dukkha, but then there's, and same thing with the 12-step, right? There's unmanageability, but that which is focused on getting the relief, then wants the 12 steps to work first, or wants the Eightfold Path, to be relieved of suffering. As opposed to like what Gary was saying with, hey, it's life, dualistic life that is suffering. It's not you. But it's going to keep repeating that way.
Well, when relief is available, you're in the right neighborhood. Yeah. So. there's relief from extreme discomfort, and then there's relief as a basis. They're different in their nature, really. This is one of the prayers we have in recovery is, please relieve us. We pray for the higher power to please relieve us of the bondage of self. So it's not to the bondage of self, it's of the bondage of self. So it's an activity, yes? You're not handcuffed to something called self and wanting to be free from it. That would be bondage to something, but it's bondage of something, yes? It's an activity. It's an idea that's being cherished. Yeah. Please relieve us of that bondage of self. Yeah.
Cherished and hated. John R. has his hand up. Hi, John.
John.
You're muted.
Oh, John R. Yes. How are you, John?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Good to see you back.
Yeah.
I've just got a question, or just pondering it. So there was a documentary on the telly the other night about people who have been labelled as bipolar or manic depressive, stuff like that. Yeah, mental illness basically. And there was people who had repetitive thoughts, and that was all that could be decided, of suicide and stuff, just repetitive, and they were, I don't know, there was a machine that they were plugging onto their heads and giving them a little shock wave, but it wasn't like a lobotomy or anything. It was low dose. You couldn't feel it maybe tingling or something. Anyway, it just appeared, or it seemed to me like they could do with a whack of non-duality, just because they're convinced that voice is them, or the voice is,
Yes.
and it was just interesting to watch. And it's like, if they could get that message that it isn't even them, just let go, I think a lot of money or pain could be resolved. I just wondered if you'd had any experience with dealing with people with bipolar, or call it whatever. It's different labels, but
I've had experiences, yes. But yeah, the point is with this,
and it works. Does it help once they're hit?
well, I haven't experienced, well, actually, there's been a few that come. When in Rome, you have to render unto Caesar. So sometimes a condition isn't going to be answered by non-duality. It's going to be answered in this place, yes? So there needs to be a taking care of. But in most cases, there needs to be a certain openness to it, yes? And that's the same thing with recovery. Recovery, what it's dealing with is the yay or the nay of the patient. Yeah, the person, even though they're on death's door, if they don't have an interest in another possibility, they can keep the door shut to recovery, even though they probably are the person who most needs it. Yes, so this is where we are, because we are the dreaming, so we override everything. Yeah. And that dreaming appearing as a person who wants to be right, and that being right entails being wrong here, they're hell bent for that to occur. Yes. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we are not in a dream. We are not a minor player. We are the dreaming. Yeah. Which is meaning we give the meaning to things, like the Course says. Things, we may allow those things to give meaning to us, but those things do not give meaning. We give meaning to everything. Yeah, that's pretty much a definition of dreaming, I would say. Yeah. So I've seen people, I've been, well, I've had a lot of experiences with reluctance of the patient to show any interest in a in a solution. So, yeah, yeah, and I've seen it with people, uh, parents who now know because they're in sobriety, they know their parental love isn't enough to turn their kid around. Yeah, it's got to be something else,
Yeah.
something greater than a human power. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure if someone was open and they could entertain the idea that those thoughts weren't theirs, it would bring about a possibility of relief for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
yeah,
Thanks. Good to have you back. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you, John. Yeah.
Thanks, John.
Mike, just want to say
Oh,
what
go
I've
ahead.
seen,
Sorry.
the idea of non-duality translating into the action figure world, it's allowed a traveling lighter. It didn't bring about everything got great at all times. It just allowed me to travel lighter with through whatever life had in store for me. That's how I've seen its influence. Yes. Yeah.
Did you hear me say that Clifford has his hand up?
No, I didn't. But go ahead. Now, yeah, I heard you. Yeah. All right, Clifford. How are you?
I'm okay. Yeah, thanks, Paul. I
I'm looking for you. Oh, there you are.
yeah. I, uh, okay. So about a week ago, I got a small injury. My phone. There we go. And so I had to rest for a week. And I decided, rightly or wrongly, to go onto social media and dive down the rabbit hole about a certain disease that's on everyone's lips at the moment. And I swear this is not going to be political. And I said to myself, right, I'm going to anchor myself here and I'm going to go down the rabbit hole and have a look, because I've kind of been a bit like this with it. And I had a pretty torrid, like 2-hour experience looking at different views, and I felt betrayed and scared and powerless. And then I come up from my rabbit hole and went to undo my anchor. And then it dawned on me I was already down the rabbit hole. Before I'd set my anchor. And in that kind of realization, it helped me to travel lighter, because before then I felt quite disturbed by the whole thing. I'd bought into it. I was feeling really fearful and betrayed and hopeless, and in the act of pulling up my anchor, I realized I'd set it. I was already down the rabbit hole, setting the anchor, thinking I was safe. And in that moment, I got that feeling of traveling lighter.
Hmm. Yeah.
If I'm completely honest, I've still got a little bit of a emotional hangover from it in the body. I can still feel it, and things ordinarily where they're not landing on me sharp, are still landing a little bit sharp. But the one takeaway that I've got is that it's diluted the effect of it, and that to me is traveling lighter. But I did want to ask you a question. As part of my going down the rabbit hole, I was looking at other non-dual speakers, and there was this conference thing. I'm not sure if you were part of it. And there was one guy come on. I won't mention his name, but he was saying, he said, "I've got to stop these fucking non-dual teachers who telling you that suffering ends." He said it fucking doesn't. And in that moment, I travelled lighter. You know, it's the suffering doesn't end. It's the sufferer.
Yes.
There's a difference, and that gave me even more of a sense of relief. Is that in line with what you would?
Yes.
In your experience?
Yes. Yes. But also as in the action figure, let's say certain things are like a big dog, and now the big dog's asleep and I get the run of my house. I tend not to try to play with the big dog or tease it.
Yeah.
If the big dogs wake up, it may play with me. So yeah. So
Yeah.
I would refrain from the rabbit holes probably.
Yeah, that was a big takeaway for
Well,
me.
the emotional hangover tells you, yes. I mean, yes, it's sort of, I've seen people who assume they had power where they didn't. And so I've never had heroin. I want to try it. And now they've been out 8 years. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, leave the sleeping dog asleep and yeah.
Yeah.
If possible.
Thank you.
Yeah. But as you said, it's exactly that. That's why we're saying it's not like a get out of jail free card, but you'll travel lighter with whatever life has in store for you. Is another way of saying it, yes. And obviously the relief doesn't come from all the events going great. The relief comes from a loss of interest in the one who's, looking for relief, or the sufferer. Yes, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the whole. It all spins to that false subject. Yes. The message. Yeah. Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. So, yeah. And you doesn't see having the false subject, trying to see it's the false subject doesn't go anywhere in my view. So
No,
see the
doesn't.
false subject from what we are. Yes. And yes, that has a whole different effect. Yeah. Yeah. Great, man, Clifford. I'm happy your volume was working tonight.
It's an easy fix. I just switched from my laptop to my phone.
Yeah, see, there you go. For me, an easy fix takes about 8 months to find out about it.
Yeah. And then the answer was there all the time.
That's right. I think I just had one the other day, the exact same thing. Yeah, trying to, I don't even want to go there now, but yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. Yeah. We're not going anywhere anyway, so. All right, thanks, bro. Anyone else, Mike?
No, thanks, Clifford.
It's
You
Mike.
see, the thing is it's the beauty of seeing you're down the rabbit hole, setting an anchor of being out of the rabbit hole. See, that's most people don't see the second rabbit hole. That has a huge value in a way. Yeah.
It reminds me of like when those comic skits where the person throws the anchor off the ship, but they forgot to attach it.
Yeah. This is. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Anyone else?
No.
Well, then this is my favorite time. I can say hello to everybody. I haven't seen them. All right. So, Mike, thanks as always. Yes. Let's just say we'll be there tomorrow for the recovery on Thursday, 10:30 Pacific. Saturday we'll be live and also Zoom, 1 o'clock Pacific. And then the same thing kicks in Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, Saturday. Yeah.
And what about a week from Saturday? Will that be live from your house or not? Live.
What's a week from this Saturday? I haven't thought that far ahead. I'll come.
Well, you said you were going to discontinue the live.
I think so. Yeah.
You don't know yet? Okay, never mind.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me say hello to. There's Sue. Sue's she's at sea level again. She's right almost. Yeah, that's nice. Sanda, nice to see you in India. You still there? Great, great. Thank you for all your support too. We got John K, as always. Yeah, he looked like he ate the canary. He's always got this little. Yeah. All right, we got Joyce and an anonymous friend. Nice to meet you, anonymous friend with Joyce.
His name is Chaz. Anonymous
Jeff?
Chaz.
Nice to meet you, Jeff.
Chaz.
Oh, Chad.
C-H-A-Z.
Oh, Chaz. All right, Chaz. I finally got it. Yes.
Actually spelled, never mind. Yeah, he's.
Good job.
Whatever. Just put it in the chat. Yeah, someone will tell me.
Thank
All
you.
right,
It was, yeah, it was very different tonight for some reason. Thank you.
No, you're different tonight. That's why. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I lost a gallbladder. That's right.
There you go. That was the whole key.
And it came to my belly button, so it's a
That
reason.
that was the obstacle to your realization. It was an organ, the gallbladder.
Never know.
You never know, honey. Nice way of looking at it. I'm free now.
Yeah, get their gallbladder removed, though. Okay.
All right, Tommy. Nice to see you, Tommy. Anu, Linda, yeah. Z, as always, Gary, William. Take it easy, William. Yeah, yeah. If you can. Alex, always a pleasure. Nice to see you. We got Jacob, Seattle, fantastic. Brandon, nice to see you, my friend. We got Jack again. Nice to see you, Jack. Yep. We got Clifford from Chiang Mai. Always a pleasure to hear Clifford. We got Miss Amelia. There she is, the love of my life. We got Kerry, stationed in Hawaii. All's well, Kerry? Yes? Good. Say hello to Judith for us. John R. over in Oz. Nice to see you, John. I'll see you live one day again. Hopefully we'll be in Byron Bay again. Yeah. Johan, my main man from Germany. We got JP from in Vietnam. There he is. We got an old friend, Art, in New Mexico. Nice to see you, Art. And Susanna, one of my favorite folks. There she is. I saw Alan the other day, and here he is. Nice to see you, Alan. And also PK from New York. Nice to see you, PK. He's wandered from the recovery over here.
Long
Nice.
Island.
What?
Long Island.
Long Island, yes. Long Island forever. All right. Hey, thank you, everyone. I'll hopefully see you soon. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Take care, Paul. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Paul.
See you. Yeah.
Hi.